All right, folks, we got some new information on the stimulus deal that was finally struck today by Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Kevin McCarthy. Later in this video, I will be going over the spreadsheet I put together in which I basically summarized what Pelosi said is in this stimulus deal. She released a press release just moments ago. It's going to go over this, going to go over the spreadsheet. But first, let's talk about what Mitch McConnell is saying about the stimulus deal. He says more help is on the way. He said that the stimulus deal is nearly $900 billion. No surprises there. That's the number we've been hearing for a long, long time. But I want to bring your attention down here. He said that we will be repurposing more than $560 billion in money that was already set aside by the CARES Act but not spent towards these urgent needs. So how much new money is actually in here? Less than $340 billion, right? Because more than $560 billion is being repurposed. The total package is less than $900 billion. He says it's nearly $900 billion. So that means that less than $340 billion in new money here. So I think that's all I had to say about McConnell's statement. I will link this in the description below. There is some, blame game going on here, right? He kind of blames the Democrats, blah, blah, blah. Pelosi does the same thing in here, by the way. She takes shots at Republicans. But you can read all this partisan talk on your own time. Right now, I want to go over Nancy Pelosi's statement here, in which she basically goes over the provisions in this new deal that was struck today. She doesn't give a whole lot of details on everything, but let's dig into what she did say. Okay, so vaccine and COVID-19, billions in urgently needed funds to distribute the vaccine, contact tracing, national testing. She didn't put a dollar amount in there. I would imagine it's something similar, right, to the bipartisan group, the $908 billion group. I think they had like $16 billion, right, combined for testing, tracing, vaccine, and all that. Surprise billing. So this was something Democrats were pushing for. She said the package in surprise billing for emergency and scheduled care. PPP, $284 billion for PPP. Targeted, right? Mitch McConnell said targeted businesses that lost money, that have actually been losing money due to COVID-19, less than 300 employees. EIDL grants, this was basically that free money. I did a walkthrough on the channel when these came out showing you exactly how to apply for these EIDL grants. Initially, we thought they would be maybe as much as $10,000, but they ended up just being about $1,000 per employee. Live venues, Chuck Schumer, right? He was pushing for this. Didn't get all the money he wanted. He was pushing for $17 billion. That's the report. Turns out it'll actually be about $15 billion. Minority lending institutions. So this was a concern that many Democrats raised, that with the PPP, a lot of minority-owned businesses were kind of being left out. So Pelosi says here we go. Dedicated PPP set-asides for very small businesses and lending through community-based lenders like community development financial institutions and minority depository institutions to support lending in low-income and underserved communities. Also, very small businesses. It's not defined here, possibly less than 10, but we're going to have to wait for the full bill to see what they specifically have in mind here. Rental assistance, $25 billion, right? Same as the $908 billion proposal. Eviction moratorium, yes. She did not state how long, but she does say that there will be an extension of the eviction moratorium. So that's great news, right? Both the rental assistance and the eviction moratorium. I imagine that this will be similar to what the bipartisan group had proposed, right? This is the same amount, right? $25 billion. And they wanted an eviction moratorium through January 31st. So Pelosi doesn't specify here, but I imagine it will look something similar to that rental assistance under that bipartisan proposal that we went over previously. Low-income housing tax credit, she didn't really specify. She just says this package enhances the low-income housing credit. Stimulus checks, $600 per adult and child, mixed status included. She did not say anything about adult dependents. Okay, so I think that basically means that what the Post reported today is confirmed, that adult dependents will be left out of this bill once again. That is extremely unfortunate. I know personally a lot of families who do support adult dependents. I'm not just talking college students. I'm talking disabled, etc. And it's a real shame that they were not included. This is all Pelosi said about the stimulus checks here. Earned income credit, Again, not many details in Pelosi's statement. She said that Democrats fought for a strong tax credit for those with reduced income in 2020, saying that, look, if you lost your job or something in 2020, if your income's low in 2020, you wouldn't otherwise qualify for like as much of an earned income tax credit as you would have, right, if you had kept your job. Well, you can base your income amount on 29 income. So in the updated HEROES Act, Pelosi said if the parents lost all of their income in 2020, they could receive up to $5,920 in earned income tax credit based on their earnings from 2019, right? So they're saying, look, if you lost your job in 2020, you're not making much money. We don't want to penalize you for that as far as the earned income tax credit goes. You can use your 2019 income. Child tax credit, she says she wants to strengthen it. Wasn't specified in her statement. Probably something along the lines of making it fully refundable, as Pelosi pushed for in the updated HEROES Act, right? Because under current tax law, yeah, the child tax credit is $2,000, but if you don't have at least $2,000 in tax liability, you can only get $1,400 maximum refunded to you, right? So what Pelosi wants to do is make the whole thing refundable, right? So even if you have, let's say you have no tax liability, right? You can get $2,000 back instead of just the $1,400 back, as under the current tax law. Sick leave. Pelosi said tax credit for employers to offer sick leave. Not a whole lot of elaboration there in her statement. Employee retention credit. This is under something that was passed previously, but Pelosi said that this new legislation will extend and improve it. No details really specified. Unemployment. Here's what Pelosi said. Democrats averted the sudden expiration of unemployment insurance benefits for millions and added a $300 per week UI enhancement for Americans out of work. So $300 per week basically confirmed. The length was not specified. That's unfortunate. But we did hear today, reports were, at least reported by Washington Post, that the unemployment, they landed on 11 weeks. Pelosi did not specify here, though. Nutrition assistance, $13 billion in increased SNAP and child nutrition benefits. $13 billion, this is the same amount as the $908 billion proposal. Education and childcare, $82 billion, that's the same as the $908 billion proposal. Pell Grants, she didn't really specify exactly what this expansion would look like, but she says that this package includes the largest expansion of Pell Grant recipients in over a decade, right? This is obviously grants to lower income individuals for higher education to reach 500,000 new recipients and ensure more than 1.5 million students will now receive the maximum benefit. I don't know if this is, expanding the income limitations or what. She didn't really specify. Broadband, $7 billion, kind of in the ballpark of the bipartisan proposal, maybe a little less. Climate change extends tax credits and other incentives, no specifics. Water, she said this legislation will include this Water Resources Development Act to improve the vital water infrastructure that Americans rely on. Global health, additional $3.36 billion for International Vaccine Alliance. State and local, and let me just actually pull it up here. This is kind of her little shot at Republicans, because there's no state and local line item in this thing, right? Pelosi said, we are disappointed that Republicans have refused to recognize the need to honor our heroic frontline workers by supporting robust funding for state and local governments. State and local governments need much more funding to prevent senseless layoffs and critical service cuts. The agreement does provide some new targeted funds for government function that will help ease their budget burdens. And then she kind of closes out by saying, look, this isn't all we're doing, I guess from the Democratic perspective, obviously, but she's saying that in 31 days, when Joe Biden enters the White House, more help will be on the way. As I've said here on the channel, I'm not so convinced that that is a done deal. It looks like we're closing in on lame duck stimulus here. Will Republicans be open to doing yet another round of stimulus under the Biden administration when he takes office next month? You all know my thoughts about that. I've talked about it before. But yeah, that's all I have for right now, folks. I just want to go over this Pelosi statement and give the spreadsheet. I'm going to link to all these things in the description below. The McConnell statement, the Pelosi statement, and my spreadsheet, so you can take a look at it. So thanks so much for watching, folks. I'll continue to keep you informed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.